Greetings. This is Justin Allen with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today, we'll be talking to Frank, who is a family nurse practitioner. Currently, he is working in an urgent care setting, but is wanting to diversify his career. More importantly, though, he is wanting to bring awareness to mental health problems within our profession and in the system in general. Frank has battled with mental health problems in the past, but he was able to get past them, seek treatment, and is now in a better place. He is wanting to talk about mental health in society and how he can work towards the goal of financial independence in his life. Hey, Frank, what's up, man?
Hey, man. Thank you for having me on. Your products and services have helped change my life and given me motivation. So I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you hopping on here. I really appreciate you reaching out to me, kind of explaining your story and whatnot. I think this is going to be a really motivational, inspirational episode. Yeah. So let's just jump right into it, man. Tell me a little bit about, about yourself as a nurse practitioner.
Well, I'll just go through my health career, I guess, to kind of say. I'm a 33-year-old single male, no kids. I was an EMT at 17 years old. Wanted to be a firefighter, but it didn't work out, which I'm grateful for. I would have struggled in that system. It's very hard to gain traction in the government. I then became a nurse. Well, I'm a veteran. I was in the Air Force for 8 years. And then I became a nurse, started nursing school at 23, got out with my BSN at 26. I went into psych nursing for 7 months. I did night and day shift. I then did med surg 7 months. I had no new grad training at all. So it was kind of rough just going 2 weeks in, and I was 6 patients at night, 3 totals. It was a wound heavy floor with wound vacs. I then went to an ER in the area I live in. Is actually known as probably the hardest ER because it's the most rundown, least resourced, and the most at-risk population. So I worked there 14 months. And then I did registry where I worked through a big hospital system between 7 hospitals, different floors. I did ICU, I did ER, I did tele, med surg, I did PACU, I did anything they asked of me. I went from $26 an hour initially to $55 an hour as a nurse under 3 years, something like that. Yeah. And then at that time too, I went to be an NP because I wanted more control of my life and to help people more directly. So I felt as a nurse that our voice wasn't really heard, which is not appropriate and not okay. But I became a family nurse practitioner because I wanted to do more general medicine. I didn't want to be too narrowed because I treat, pregnant women, birth to death. Right. I treat psych, not complex. Obviously, I refer out. But as a NP, I've been in the ER. I've been in internal medicine, which I did internal medicine, man, with no training. They didn't even teach me how to write a note. Like they just threw me out there and paid me money and said, here you go. Because we were 1/4 the cost of an internist. And I made it work. It was very, very scary and not good for my license, but I made it work. So, and then I work in urgent care for a family owned business that they are amazing. So, I've been in urgent care. I fought COVID for 2+ years. And now I'm going more into the entrepreneur route, which is where I need to be. So I think that sums up my professional career.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive, dude. You've been doing a lot of things and thank you for your service too. I don't think we have a whole lot of veteran nurse practitioners out there. So I think you're in a unique situation.
Yeah. I think that veterans, I go to the VA, I'm lucky for what I get there, but it's a very broken system. I am bipolar type 1, and I went a long time without the proper treatment, and the VA has let me down as well as they have helped me. So I think that we just, instead of looking at the negatives, I want to look at ways, how can we improve things? And that's kind of my mission, right? Is to help people. I also have a long history of like childhood trauma that recently was exposed, and I had to take some time off work and focus on myself so I can be better for everyone around me. And I think that wounded healers are very important, right? Because I'm not just the provider, I'm also the patient, right?
Right.
And I think that I'm able to relate to patients. I'm able to have more empathy. Sometimes you visit a doctor or a provider and they like all they know is the textbook. They can't really tell you what, major depression is, or I'm not saying they're bad. It's just that how much more do you gain from someone that has that empathy, right? I think it's really important.
Sure, man. I mean, you have to relate to the patients. I mean, if you can't relate to patients, it's just smoke and mirrors. You know what I mean? Like you're not really. It's hard to truly treat them and understand what they're going through. So yes. I mean, I commend you for that. So let's talk a little bit about that then, because I know that's kind of what you want to do. You want to bring some awareness out there for what you're doing. So walk me through that. Tell me about your experience and just how you are now trying to, I guess, give back to the system, helping veterans out and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm still in kind of the beginning stages. I kind of blew up on TikTok and I'm growing it professionally now. I just want to talk about the things that need to be talked about, right?
Okay.
Because we as just human beings don't feel comfortable talking about the tough things. And once we do that, I think that we can start giving proper interventions. And a lot of it is just not feeling alone, man, because I've felt alone my whole life. But imagine being a bipolar patient, unmedicated, untreated, undiagnosed, and also having severe childhood trauma, not even that coming out until 33 years old. Like I'm actually a very unique clinical patient, right? Because bipolar, for example, my first episode was at 20. I was in the military and I had depression, suicidal depression, which is pathology, right? That's right. Bipolar. And the military at that time, back in 2009, 2010, didn't have, you were considered weak, a loser, and they would just kick you out, right? If you had mental health. So I had to fight that on my own for months because I was going through so much at that time in my personal life. Like my dad had cancer. I just lost my grandma and my aunt. I didn't know if my dad was going to live. My dad's my hero. And, the military back in 2009, 2010 had the rule called don't ask, don't tell. You remember that? Which is horrible, right? Just for being LGBTQ and saying, I like men, they kick you out. Like that wasn't too long ago.
Right. It really wasn't.
It wasn't. And imagine why 22 veterans kill themselves every day, right? And we have no evidence saying that that's being reversed. That's a big problem. So I have a lot of passions, man. But, you brought out something today about a vision statement. And my mission statement was to help as many people as I can while enjoying this life. That's it.
Sure.
As long as I live that, then I'm doing the right thing. So, and I'm willing to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. And I don't care. All I care about is I don't care what people think when they're judging me, because most of the time they're just projecting, right? That's really what they're doing. They're unhappy with themselves or they're being judgmental, and that's fine. But I'm just being me and trying to help as many people as I can.
Right. Like I said, I commend you for it, man. So what are you how are you building up this little, I'm not going to call it really even a side business, but more of like an awareness kind of program that you're developing here? Like, what are you doing to try to, fix these problems? You want to say, you said you want to talk about the positives through your personal experience and how you can give back. So what are you wanting to do?
I just want people to know that if I can get better, that anyone can, because I have been through a lot, and just knowing that and being able to vocalize that feels so much better, man, because I've never been heard. And there's so many people that are reaching out to me about their stories and it's horrible and their traumas, and they just feel better that they don't feel alone.
Right.
So what I'm doing on social media is I have a TikTok with a professional now helping me with my TikTok grow, is where I'm sharing my story live as I'm going through, trauma therapy, and as I'm talking about these topics that I don't find anywhere. Like if these topics were somewhere, man, I would probably be fine. I'd just go build a business, make money, but they're not. So I know that these words help and they need to be said. So I'm starting with TikTok initially. I have other business ideas in the background that I'm working on that you helped spur. And we'll just go from there, man. Tony Robbins talks about life as a sailboat, and you know the direction, but you're constantly kind of going back and forth with the wheel, right? Does that make sense?
Oh, so absolutely. 100%.
I have a linear direction, but again, it's kind of like a zigzag as I'm figuring this out, because for the first time in my life at 33, I've had to live with a lot of fear, right? It's a fear response based on my amygdala that came from childhood trauma. It's well documented that happens when you have trauma as a child. You have a heightened fear response, and I'm not going to live in fear anymore. So I can actually take stuff like you do and run with it.
Correct. Yeah. Living in a constant state of fear, always being, scared of what could happen is definitely not a way to live. I mean, you can't live in a state of constant fear. That's going to prevent you from ever really achieving your dreams, your goals. I mean, taking the safe way out. The safe way out is getting a job, working, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, investing 10% into your 401k and doing that until you're 65 years old and hope that, you never get laid off or anything like that. Like, that's the safe route, right? Yeah. Most people are too scared, too fearful to ever venture on their own. And, once you do venture on your own, you will find that you are actually more secure being self-employed than you are being employed by someone else, because that employer can let you go whenever they want. So
I agree, man. Like 100%.
I
never had the confidence or until recently when basically someone told me something that happened to me and all my memories came back. So I'm having to, relive trauma and actually fight the monsters in the closet, I call it, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone has trauma. Everyone. It's just, does it affect you? And do you want to improve?
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of my belief.
Yeah. For sure. I 100% agree. Let me ask you this. So you said that, people are reaching out to you, you're trying to make people aware of, what it is that you've gone through, how it's affected your life, how it's affected your, just overall quality of life and where you're at in life. So what kind of people are reaching out to you? Are you seeing that it's everyone from a veteran to, some sort of professional? Like, are you seeing just a broad range of individuals?
It's a broad range. Yeah, it's a broad range. And people have always felt that they could share whatever with me because nothing they'll say is going to shock me.
Right.
Nothing based on what I've been through, what I've heard, what I've researched, right? Because when I was young, I've had a tough life, man. And I would research the Holocaust and research the Trail of Tears. I would research North Korea. I would research slavery. I would research how strong people got through those times. I read the book, A Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it.
So Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist that went through the Holocaust. I believe he lost his wife and his daughter. He was there, I think, 3 years roughly. Anyways, he documented it because he was a psychiatrist. So interesting, right? And he said you could tell when a man was going to die. He said that you think in the Holocaust that we weren't joking around or having fun. That's actually the opposite. The only way to survive was to have hope and to force happiness and positivity. So he said you could see a man slump his shoulders and he would die 3 days later. So he actually created a whole form of psychiatry in Germany. So A Man's Search for Meaning, that book meant a lot to me because I was like, well, if those men and those women could get through those tough times, so can I, right?
Oh, for sure.
And I'm not saying I went through the Holocaust. I'm just saying that I went through tough things. So
right. Yeah. If you could put things in the past like that in perspective, your life doesn't really look that bad. I'm not saying it's not bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
It still sucks. Right. But it's not nearly as bad as what that was.
Yeah. I still have my mocha frappe at Starbucks, I've been through a lot, but it's like, I just bought a Tesla and it's like, I don't even have to go to the gas station anymore. Right. Like
you have food, you're relatively in a safe country. Like life is pretty good, but we still all go through shit.
Exactly.
It's still tough.
And I, force positivity. I've done that since I was very young, man. I was a class clown. I would do anything I can to take people's suffering and pain away. Because when you're smiling and you're laughing, that's when you can forget for a little bit, right? That's why comedy is really important. And that's my life mission again, is just to help as many people as I can. Instead of volunteering just to help one person, I'm building a social media that's going to help many people because that's able to spread the message faster and wider. So
yeah, that's the power of the internet and social media and whatnot as well. Like, sure, I could do consultations with one nurse practitioner at a time, but having articles and podcasts, and courses and stuff like that, I can help an unlimited amount of people, and so can you with what you're wanting to do. Bringing out the awareness and building a community of people who are like-minded and have experienced similar trauma, and building a group there of support and whatnot. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's very admirable of you. I really do.
Thank you. I think men as well, veterans don't do a good job of talking about things, right? We don't feel heard. Men have a higher suicide rate for a reason, right? It's usually more violent, the type of, suicide they commit, but men feel weak, when they ask for help or when they feel like they're having a bad day. And we need to have strong men in the community say, it's okay. It's okay to have trauma. It's okay to talk about it. That's how we start to heal and get better. So
yeah,
I think you feel the same way, man, is that a lot of alpha males, right? A lot of alpha males kill themselves, man, because they're the ones that don't seek help and say, hey, I have a problem, or, whatever. Bipolar, for example, just bipolar, the illness is a 20% suicide completion rate. It's a 50% suicide attempt rate, and it's 98% genetic. So think about that. So, and I think that's underreported actually. So just the illness based on the clinical manifestation of true bipolar, right, is the most dangerous psychiatric condition. Like, how many people commit suicide in the community and they never get diagnosed, right?
Oh, I'm
And
sure a lot.
a lot, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, we need to start talking about this stuff from a clinical background, but also just as being a human being,
Right. I completely agree. And well, I mean, and you being a nurse practitioner, you're in one of those positions where you can bring the awareness out, but you could also potentially, actually help individuals.
Yeah. Because think
yeah.
about the family nurse practitioner, right? We have the role of the old family physician, right? We can go work in a rural community and we have to extend our scope a bit, which we can.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And where is psychiatric disorders actually treated? In the primary care office.
Majority of them are.
Right.
Yeah.
How often is bipolar misdiagnosed? How often is a patient, I see it all the time, they're on a Prozac for 10 years and they still feel like crap. And I'm like, well, maybe you need a second evaluation.
Right.
Like you need another one. Do you have mood swings, et cetera?
It's interesting you brought that point up because we actually just finished developing our psych course. And yeah, I found it really surprising. I think it was like, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was 80% of all antidepressants are started and managed in the primary care setting.
I've heard higher, but think about it, right? I think the antidepressants, just personally, just telling my personal belief, are one of the worst classes of medicines. Like we give them so often, like it's candy. And it's like, we don't talk about the ramifications of like sexual dysfunction, weight gain, et cetera. They can help, but they are definitely overprescribed. And then it's just a messed up system because you get 15 minutes as a provider with a patient. They come into you depressed. How am I going to change their life when they just lost their job, can't pay their bills? Like I give them Prozac for now, right? With the intention of hopefully it just gets you through this, you get better in your life, and then you can hopefully get off. It's a tough system, man, because mental health is complex. It's nuanced. I wish there was just a serotonin deficiency and it was that simple, but it's obviously not that simple, and that gives us hope that, we can actually help people without medicine as well. Like it's a combination. I like a holistic approach where Western medicine works with, other forms as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. A little bit of functional integrative kind of stuff in it.
Yeah. So,
for sure.
But primary care providers, we've talked about this, I think, is they're kind of the social worker of medicine, man. They make the least, they work the hardest. They're the most important. That's how you detect cancer. That's how, they walk with you and your family through life, and we pay them the least. Like, think about that, man. That doesn't make
no sense.
It makes no
sense.
sense. They're so stressed. They spend 2 hours after work charting and doing prior auths and stuff like that. And it's like, all I keep seeing, man, is all these primary care just closing left and right. Like they're going to big conglomerates. That's all they're doing.
It's a broken system. I mean, I couldn't do it. I personally couldn't do it.
I couldn't either. I could do like my own. Well, I got something in the works, but it's just like, how do we fix this stuff, man? We got to first start talking about it.
Right.
We can't just blame people. We got to talk about the, I don't know.
I mean, I think the underlying issue is the insurance system in general. It makes everything complicated unnecessarily.
It's, oh my God, it's so archaic. Like
it is.
You're getting big industries going into healthcare now, like actual business economics, IT, actual technology. And they're looking at the healthcare system going, what in the heck? Like we still use fax machines. Like we use fax machines to get records from another hospital down the street that you could have just biked over faster. It's like you're in a life-saving code. It's like we need to know stuff, or whatever. And it's like we still do that. How does that make sense, man? We're going to Mars and we still use fax machines. Like it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, man. And it's when it's a numbers game and you have to chart a certain way, you got to do all this crap to even get paid to even keep the doors open. It's patient care, yes, while it's still important, it's not the sole focus anymore.
In the urgent care setting, I worked COVID. I was actually I'm very well aware of COVID. I took care of the COVID patients. I tested them myself initially because I didn't want other staff to get sick. I was seeing over 100 patients a day in the urgent care setting. And the way I looked at it, man, was that it's my time to step up. That's how I looked at it. And I'm going to try and, because if that 101 patient that I saw, how many in COVID did we save, right? Just saying, hey, you need to go to the hospital right now. Because if you get 2 behind COVID, you're dead. It was that simple. It's like you're on day 11, your oxygen's 84% on room air, you have comorbidities, you're dead. You were not making it through the first few waves, But it's part of the system. But also, like, I think that healthcare people, if you go into it the right reason, we're kind of like healthcare warriors, right? We are the backbone of society. Like if we don't have health, we have nothing. And
completely agree.
Healthcare providers need to realize this. Like so many doctors are committing suicide. So many doctors are leaving the profession. Like so many providers are leaving. How many nurses? It's like as high as 90% are looking at different jobs or something. It's very like looking at least different within nursing. Like we're not going to have people left, and what does that look like in 5 years? Right. New grads are quitting.
It's a dark situation.
It's not good, man. At least me and you can, like, if our dad's in the hospital or something, we can at least give the meds. We can act as a nurse,
we can actually take care of them to an extent. You know what I mean? I do primary care for the majority of my family,
Yeah, it's like, that's good you can do that. Yeah.
Right. It is. Most people can't though, but you're right. But what's the underlying issue though? It ultimately comes down to burnout, career satisfaction, and how much you're making to make it worthwhile. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the issue is that you have these sharks and you have these third parties in between all of it all. And they are truly what's fueling the problems, in my opinion. If nurses, nurse practitioners, hell, even a lot of doctors and stuff were actually compensated what they're worth, were giving more of a life work balance, then I guarantee you we wouldn't have a lot of these problems. But the problem is that when you have to code and you have to chart and you have to follow all the bullshit that comes with insurance companies, Medicare, CMS, Medicaid, it complicates it. And that is one of the underlying reasons why the burnout happens. And so that's why I advocate for opening your own cash practice, because once you can do that, you can provide so much better patient care. You don't have to worry about all that crap.
Yeah. I'm really involved in some things behind the scenes that it's all about that. I like direct primary care. I think that's amazing. You take out all the middle people, and you're able to thrive and strive, right? I come from a sales background as well. So I did a lot of healthcare. I did sales. I did all kinds of different jobs. So I did insurance, banking. So I think it's good in healthcare too. Like some of the best doctors I ever worked with had other backgrounds. Because I think it's hard sometimes when all you know is healthcare, because I've heard like doctors or something, and they'd be like, I don't care about the business side. And I'm like,
you should.
It's not a good attitude to have. Like It is a business, right? You help people and you have to make money and you have to hit overhead. Like there's this weird thing in healthcare that it just works. I'm like, well, no, it doesn't. Right? Like you need other entities, because healthcare I keep saying archaic, but it's so mundane and ridiculous. Like if you were an alien and came to America and looked at healthcare, or an economics major, like it's not a good metaphor, but if you look at it from like an IT standpoint or business or engineering standpoint, you'd look at healthcare and go, this is horrible. We could fix so much very, very quickly, right?
Yeah, having standardized systems and whatnot. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. But at the end of the day, what can you and me do to truly fix all these problems? The only way it's going to happen is if there's lobbying but all that stuff has to just come from the top.
My feel is that the greed of insurance, the greed of healthcare systems, the greed of pharmaceuticals is going to bite them in the butt, right? So an example of that is you have like Amazon. I thought it was Amazon. There was like 3 major companies are getting tired of paying the healthcare premiums, right? So you're starting to get really big companies that have a lot of power and influence. They're saying, this is ridiculous. Right? You can't keep increasing healthcare costs forever, because people are going to be like, this makes no sense that I spend $1,500 a month for a family with a $10,000 deductible. So I pay for what?
Right. What are you paying for?
What are you
exactly?
Like, you might as well just not be insured, which a lot of people just do that. Right.
Right. Yeah. So I pay $450 a month as a self-employed NP. Just me, $450 a month. I have a $10,000 deductible. It's just like, what the hell am I even paying for here?
I don't know, man. It's like when you take a quick look at it, you're like, this doesn't make sense. Right. And then, I have a medicine I take and it's $1,500 a month. Right. And we had to do a prior auth to get approved, which did get approved. But think about if I have to switch states, right? I have to hope that medicine's covered. I have to go to the VA where they're like, I don't know if we're going to cover it because it's new or something. I'm like, what? So a doctor prescribed this. It works really well. Why can't you just approve it? Right? There's people that die every day that don't have their regular medicines, right? I had a buddy's dad that died 3 days without blood pressure medicine. He had a hemorrhagic stroke, 3 days. And he needed his medicine. And he probably was on what was that, $10 worth of medicine, maybe? Not even 3 days?
Right.
For generic stuff. So
Right.
I think talking about it, man, what you're doing, which is getting NPs to be free, giving inspiration. I think the more we talk about it, more we spread this message, you're going to start seeing, new interventions, new companies. Like you're already seeing it. You're already seeing that, we already have socialized medicine. It's called Medicare, Medicaid, right? So I don't know what the future is necessarily going to have, but I know direct primary care, I know cash-based services is going to be a big part of it. That's what
100%. I completely agree, man. I'm already seeing that. I mean, even just 3 years ago at my men's health practice, I remember getting a little bit more pushback from patients. And just in 3 years, more and more people don't even question it. They're like, yeah, that's fine. I'll just pay for it. Like,
yeah, it's good.
Just in a few years.
Why do people have this sense that I have insurance, I deserve good healthcare? Well, the best providers are not going to be in insurance in the future. I mean, there's still going to be good ones there, but I'm saying that there's a lot of us that are innovative and are saying, I am tired of this system and I'm going cash-based. I am not dealing with insurance at all. They dictate my care. You have to follow the clinical guidelines, which you can argue those, right? I think I'm very hopeful, man. I have to stay positive. I think good things are coming. I think COVID actually brought a good thing where patients became more aware and started asking questions. Sometimes they were, they're overboard, right? They question you with like no sense or they talk down to us. But I think that people are starting to ask questions and try to learn more because everyone needs to be educated about health because it affects all of us.
All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all Elite Nurse Practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and that other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode. Okay, so you're doing the social media thing.
Yep.
You're, bringing awareness out for, bipolar issues, mental health issues amongst veterans and things like that. So outside of that, it sounds like it's going to be more or less a hobby, passion in the background. Maybe at some point it actually turns into, a nonprofit or something, who knows? But like in the meantime, you're still working urgent care, correct?
Yes, I'm working urgent care full time. I did take a little break as I took some time to heal, which I needed, and I can be even better for my patients and everyone. Because I work really hard, man. Like I've always looked up to people that had work ethic. I show up to work 15 minutes early every day. I leave late. I work my butt off. Sometimes I don't eat because I'd rather not leave a patient behind, kind of thing, right? I kind of live my life like a Viking. It's kind of how I do it. But I have other things in the works. I have a cash-based service that I'm looking at getting into. It's definitely related to what you create. The biggest thing with me, man, is I'm very creative. So you provide like a model. I need to feel like I could be innovative and creative on my own. So you provide the foundation and give the motivation that I take and run with it, right? Because I've built 2 businesses already, and I could talk about how those failed if you want. So one was I didn't have any legal documents being the medical director, and I trusted someone and we had a falling out, and that was not good. So
what was
I know
the lesson
now
learned there?
Well, first of all, I'm not doing partners anymore. Not really.
Okay, lesson number one.
No
Everyone
partners.
listening to this, avoid partnerships.
Avoid partnerships.
They very, very rarely ever work out.
And if you do, please get it legally.
You make
formulated.
Sure it's all legal contracts. Yeah, I have an article on the Elite NP website where I talk about the pros and cons of partnerships. But in general, why partner with someone when they're only going to bring $5,000 to the table, and then take 50%?
Yeah,
drama.
Exactly.
Partnerships typically aren't worth it. But anyways, okay. So yeah, no partnerships was a lesson learned.
The second business was, again, I was just doing, with undiagnosed bipolar and trauma and stuff like that. It just wasn't a good time. So I love the building of the business. It's finally taking the leap off the dock, right? They talk about, what do they talk about? It's like a metaphor. It's like jumping, don't jump onto the boat, kind of just step off. Right? Like you don't need to jump off and hit the water. Like be reasonable about what you're building. I like organic growth. My goal is to be financially independent at 40.
We have 7 years.
Yeah, I was broke at 20. So I had no money. And I looked up Dave Ramsey at the time and I just followed the steps, man. That's all I did. I didn't listen to the show. I just like the steps and the foundation. You're building a very strong house, basically. And then I researched Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, all the head finance guys. I was in insurance banking and kind of found my own groove. But I don't know. I guess the tortoise wins the race. You've heard that probably.
It does. Oh, 100%, dude. This is not a sprint. You're not going to, you don't become financially independent in 3 years. It doesn't happen. This is it's a slow game. You can achieve it in 5 to 10 years. You can, but you have to live very, very frugally and you have to have a lot of income coming in.
Yeah. I follow basically similar to you. I don't know if we're like kindred spirits or something, but I've already been doing that for many, many years. And now it's going to be even better because again, I've had to live through fear my whole life. So because I'm not living through fear anymore, I can actually start taking controlled risks, right? Because you have to take risks to see growth. So now I'm taking risk within reason and not shutting down, right? Because I take that and I can't handle the stress. So it's different. It's like the stress is not indicative of what is actually going on. That's very common.
Now you can, So now you can actually, you're in a place mentally where you can handle the stress that comes along with the risks that are necessary to essentially grow your financial health.
Yes, exactly. And I am an entrepreneur. And I say that, I think a lot of people say it like I guess in social media, like young people just say it. They're like, I'm an entrepreneur because I do this. And I'm like, okay, you're not. A real entrepreneur is willing to put the money up, take the risk and do it. And like, I have to do that. I have struggled my whole life, man. Like, because I've tried to play the safe route. Okay. I've tried to have a job and do this. I get very bored in jobs very quickly. Like in 6 months, I'm done because I'm already maxed out this role. And I've done that my whole life. And it's not a problem. It's just that I can't be boxed in. So that's why the urgent care environment's great because I can slowly transition like you did and cut back as I grow.
I'm sure you've already experienced the ceiling of it though. I mean,
I'm already there. You're
there. After a few years of urgent care, you've pretty much seen it all.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the best environment for me. I don't do Monday through Friday. I don't do, it's still like a really good form of medicine, especially having like small business owners who are amazing. They've supported me through this. I'm so grateful. They gave me time off so I could, get better and stuff. And I run through hell and back for them twice, man. Like that's how I am. I'm a airman at heart. Like I believed in dying for your country. I believed in, when you get a boss that really cares about you, that's who I care about. I know the systems don't care about you at all. The healthcare systems do not care about a single person. I'm sorry, that's the system. They do not. I don't care what the name of the hospital is. You are a number. And I try to tell people that. And I would tell nurses, I'm like, you have to go across the street to make $6 more an hour. And they would just stay there for a quarter. I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like
every single RN and nurse practitioner out there that's employed is a disposable asset for the most part.
Yeah, we all are, and that's okay. Like I learned that, dude. I was at Circus City when they closed down, and I was there when they laid off everybody. You're talking about people that gave 40 years to this company, man, and they got a 3-month severance, and you're out. I saw everyone crying, bawling their eyes out, and I'm just like, I learned right then that these companies do not care about you, and that was empowering for me. I knew that at the end of the day, the only thing I can count on is myself. That's it.
100%, man. 100%, dude. Everyone listening right now needs to hear that. Everybody.
Yeah, and it's not so true. People give me like feedback on that. They're like, no, that's not true. They care about you. They do not care about you. It's okay. That gives you empowerment, right? That's why I've had so many different jobs to get to. I make good money, man. I make good money. I have a good schedule. I have like the ideal job. If I wasn't wired my way, I would just stay in it forever. But I got to build something myself as well. And I still do like to practice medicine. So while I'm building stuff, it's cool because I enjoy clinical practice, right? There's so many patients I see as a frontline provider, right? In urgent care. People think urgent care doesn't do anything. Like I get that sense. And I'm like, we do so much because we don't have tests. So I actually have to evaluate and put hands on you every time.
Yep.
Like I treat patients that I've had female patients that were just raped that morning. They come to me first. Like people think urgent care is just coughs and colds. I'm like, I wish it was. It'd be easier. Like, no, we deal with like crushing chest pain, heart attack, and they don't want to go to the hospital and you have to like tell them you're dying. Right. Like you need to get right. I deal with I worked in an area with high mental health population. I deal with paranoid schizophrenics. I'm like, is this guy going to attack me? Right. And like, I think people get this weird impression with the urgent care that you just go in and get Keflex.
It's a great environment for a nurse practitioner to truly learn lots of skills and develop that confidence. Like I tell new grads that if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, work in the ER or work in an urgent care.
100%, right? Because you see it straight off the street.
You see everything.
Yeah, you see everything. I learned the most in the ER urgent care setting. And
absolutely. Same.
I have and I think we all have personalities that fit different areas. Like I could do the more critical stuff. I honestly don't find it that intriguing. Like to work in an ICU and just watch people die slowly. Like, half of them are dead anyways. And you're just like kind of trying to keep them alive somehow.
Right.
Like, I just didn't like that form of medicine.
Back to the whole financial independence and, your goals to get there. So, you follow Dave Ramsey, which is great. I mean, I followed him as well. I mean, I'm already at the point where his stuff doesn't really apply all that much to me anymore. Mm-hmm. Paying off debts, paying off your house, living below your means, so forth and so forth. Like, so, once you reach those goals, then you're following those principles and whatnot. So you have the foundation for financial independence there in place. So what's your plan now for, developing income? I mean, when it comes down to it, the income is where all the magic happens. Like you started 2 businesses, they failed, learned some valuable lessons. I mean, hey, listen, dude, I've started businesses that failed too. Like you learn lessons, you learn a lot of valuable lessons when you start a business and it fails. That's just part of being an entrepreneur. Like every single successful entrepreneur out there has started a business and it's failed. I guarantee it. Like I'm talking about successful ones, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who've had multiple businesses. You know what I mean? Not just someone who owns one little thing. So what's your plan? How are you going to generate income? Because that's where the magic happens. You can't do anything until you have income and lots of income coming in. So you said you have a few things on the back burner. How are you going to generate income?
Well, one is a new business idea. It's in healthcare and I'm going to be the provider, but it's like, I don't want to talk about it too much, man. So I'm trying to be vague, but
that's fine.
It's going to be the income, right? So I'm going to put in like 1 year of very hard work and I want to help people in health at the root, right? I'm done with just giving you an antibiotic and saying, here you go. When really you need much more than that, right? A lot of people die during COVID because of the comorbidities and they die all the time because again, their immune system is weak. They can't fight bugs, et cetera. But so I have one business that I'm going to be a part of soon, but I am still in the healing journey right now. So again, I'm healing daily with, IOP, intensive outpatient program. So this is the first time again that I can actually do what I was supposed to do. So I learned from all those mistakes. Like you said, I don't have guilt and shame over them. I'm just glad that now I have those mistakes and you learn from them. I have that one business idea. I also think the social media is eventually going to turn into monetization as well. Sure. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to write a book is part of it. I have a unique story that can help people. So that's another thing I'm working on. And then, dude, I'm at the point, man, I really want a family. So when I'm ready, I'm going to start to date. And that would be like all this career stuff. I mean, you're driven, I think we're very similar. Like we like the creativity. We love seeing progress, Tony Robbins type stuff. But like, at the end of the day, man, if I'm 90 right now and I don't have a family, a healthy, happy family, I would have regret. So
what was it all for, man?
That's the deep down. So I'm trying to balance being driven and creative as well as, hey man, I still want to live now. So it's a tough balance, right? Would you say?
Oh, dude, absolutely. But I'll tell you what, you are at an age, you're starting right when I pretty much started. Like I started my businesses and whatnot when I was like 33, 34. Like, so you are right there at the same age as me. I was just divorced, didn't have any children or anything. And I started my businesses and whatnot. And over a period of 3 or 4 years, I hustled my ass off and built a financial powerhouse in terms of investments, savings, debt paid down, building businesses and those sorts of things. As a nurse practitioner, I met someone else, got married, she's due in December.
Oh, congratulations.
So thanks. But me being a father to this child is going to be so different than when I was, let's say 28, for example, working 7 days on, 7 days off at an urgent care or working in the ER and things like that. Like now my child will come in this world and I have so much more free time because of my businesses and generating passive income and things like that, that I feel like that I am now at a place to have a child. I wasn't at a place to have a child when I was 30, 33. I just wasn't.
Yeah, so, I feel the same way. And Like
You're
I said,
right there, dude.
I'm in the heart of it. I'm like right where you were, but add on like, mental health and
Sure.
recovery from trauma and stuff like that. But that's why like I see this vision. I have a vision and it's there, but I'm kind of tired of talking about it. I just want to show people and be like,
Just
look,
do
this is what I've been telling you. And I'm done
Talk
talking
is
about
cheap,
it.
dude.
Talk
is cheap. Don't mean nothing
so,
until you actually do something.
Exactly. So just like these videos, like I'm talking about stuff that no one talks about. And there's people like, oh, you shouldn't, some people are like judgmental. I'm like, I don't care because it's helping more people. I can't help everyone one-on-one, right? That's way too much energy. And we talked about that.
Right.
The only way to do this is to spread messages very fast, very wide, right? So
absolutely.
I, again, have that sailboat. I see the direction I'm going in and I'm not living in fear anymore. So now I'm able to take these controlled risks that we talked about, and I'm able to do very similar to kind of what you did, but create my own stuff. And there are a lot of good people out there, man. Like if you open up
most
to
people
it,
are good.
Yeah,
most people are good.
Good people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's super inspirational, dude. Would you say that if you can do it, anyone listening could probably do this, start their own business, break free?
I think so, man. I mean, I've been through so much, man. And I try to say that like, if I'm, just being alive today is a triumph, just still fighting, still pushing forward. If I can get over, severe mental illness, if I can fight I've had like 9 forms of trauma, like 9. I had an ACE questionnaire of 9 out of 10. It's just, if I can do it, man, then that means other people can. And that's all I'm trying to say is like, do what makes you happy, because I see so many people in life that are just do, and they're like, I don't know, I'm just working 9 to 5 till 65, and they're just doing drifting. And they're not happy. And I'm like, go do what makes you happy. I have a friend that is working in a financial system, and he's starting to have a family and stuff, but he really wants to do carpentry. So he's talking about getting into carpentry. Like he's gonna be so much happier. He's not happy sitting at a desk. I can't do it. I've done it. And my role as an urgent care provider right now, I'm an independent contractor. Like that's the only way I think to do it, right? I have
100%.
I have 2 LLCs. I have huge tax benefits and stuff, which is all legal and ethical. And I don't know, man, I'm just trying to give hope to people because, some people gave hope, or people gave hope to me. And I see way too many people are not living their full potential.
100% agree, brother. I really do, man. I really appreciate you hopping on this phone call. I think that it's an inspiration, dude. I mean, like I said, if you can get past the struggles and break free out of it and start down this path of making your dreams a reality, I mean, if you can do it, if I could do it, I came from absolutely nothing. If I can do it, every single person listening to this right now can do this. It's hard, but it's not that hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was the fear, man, that stopped me. Yeah. It was the fear that I would get there, I'd build it up and then be like, oh, it's the fear that would stop me. And now I'm not there. Do you mind if I give a shout out to my social though? Does that matter?
Sure, for sure, man. Absolutely. Yeah. Plug your stuff in. If people want to reach out to you and comment or join in on the conversation, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that's what you're supposed to do. But it's at Frank Lewandowski. I am the third. That's on TikTok. That's the one that's kind of blowing up. And then you can find me on Instagram. YouTube is Frankly New Thoughts. That's where I'm at right now. Again, that's to give back and create awareness. And then I'm ready to take the business route. So
yeah, good for you, man. Good for you. No, I can't wait to see what you do over the next year. I mean, I would love to. I follow you, dude. I love your stuff. I think I think you're doing something really special here. You're really giving back to the community, just in general, the community of the world, really. So,
thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I like to end the episodes with you asking me a question, man. Is there a question you've always wanted to ask me about anything?
How similar are we? Like, I'm just curious. Like you said that before, like, do you think we're very similar? Like, I'm just curious when you said that. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, okay, that feels good. Because I feel like a weirdo sometimes, like the way I think sometimes. I don't know.
Dude, entrepreneurs are weirdos, man. Like most entrepreneurs are weird people. Our minds are on a different plane than the average person. And so, I've talked to you on and off over the past, 2 years or something?
Yeah. 2 years.
So, yeah, I just see a lot of a young Justin in you, to be perfectly honest with you, because I'm 5-6 years older than you are. So I just see a lot of my younger self in you. And so that's kind of just what I meant there. I think you're going to go places now that you have overcome this fear. I think that if you just keep pushing forward and whatnot, I don't see how you can't be a successful individual. I mean, you've already achieved a lot of success in your life. You make great money now. You've overcome significant struggle that I will never be able to relate to. I mean, dude, you've you fought the battle. Like you fought it, you're winning. So now it's time to transfer that positive energy into what it is that you want to do. And I think that, me personally, I went through divorce. I went through multiple struggles in my life and whatnot. And I came out a stronger person, and I've turned that energy into a positive direction. And so my practices, the elite NP, all of this stuff. And so I see a lot of that in you, brother. I really do.
That means a lot to me, man. Thank you for having me on.
No, for sure. It was a pleasure talking to you. And let's do a follow-up again. I think people will really enjoy this episode. I think we,
even like 3 months from now.
Definitely inspired some people. Yeah. A few months from now. Absolutely. For sure.
All right. Thank you, man.
Cool, brother. All right. Take care. Bye. Hope everyone enjoyed the conversation with Frank. I know this is kind of a little bit of a different kind of episode, but I really wanted to bring him aboard. I think he's a great inspiration and a motivation really for a lot of you out there that might be struggling with fear, might be going through personal traumas, personal issues, and you feel like that the stress may be overbearing and it's causing analysis paralysis. It's causing just a fear to break out and do what you want to do. Listen, if Frank can get through the issues that he was having, I mean, he went through some significant problems. He's healing. He's almost 100% again. He's getting back in the game. If he can have the courage to do this and to start his own businesses, multiple businesses, if he can do it, anyone else can do it. I mean, he's went through some significant issues. I've gone through significant issues through my life as well, but I didn't let those things stop me. I didn't let the fear paralyze me. You have to create a vision. You have to focus on the future. You have to focus on your future self. What is it that you want? What is your vision in life, and how are you going to get there? Do you have to heal certain past traumas? Do you have to get through certain issues in your life right now? Like, what is it that you have to do to get to that end goal? Like he was saying, it's like being on a sailboat, and being on a straightforward path to get somewhere. Well, it's not a straightforward path. You're gonna have to go maneuver around islands, waves, whatever it may be, right? So that's basically the path. It's a zigzag. No one can give you just a straight linear line that's gonna send you directly to your goal. It doesn't work that way. There will be ups and downs. There will be issues throughout life, throughout your business, but that's why you need to always have that vision in the future of what you want to be, okay? He figured that out. I figured that out fairly early. And, if he can do it, everyone else can do it as well. Look him up on social media. What he's doing is very inspirational. I'm really proud of what he's doing. He's really putting himself out there, and he's making a difference in a lot of people's lives. So check him out. All right. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. You guys take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and/or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcast. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2022 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.